preparations already in top gear for that parade and celebration of democracy in the nation's capital, Abuja, I guess as well across the sub-nationals. It's a big mood across the country. But right here in the studio, we're doing something different. We're going way back. And we have a guy, that's what he is to us right now, Fuad Lawal, the executive director of archiving.ng. He actually curates Nigeria's way back as, is it 1994 now?
Yeah, currently 1994.
Okay, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Fun day.
I'm tempted to ask where you are or what you were doing June 12,
1993.
1993. It's a trick question. I
think I was shitting on my body. I was like 2.
There you go.
I thought that literally.
Yeah, to be honest, I was not yet 2. I was actually a year and a half.
There you were getting there.
So you had no memories.
So no memories. Any memories I have now are fraudulent. Yeah, they are not mine. Definitely not mine.
Okay. And you've been curating a lot of work, so obviously you have you've acquired the memory, the much needed memory.
Well, you can see that's actually an interesting way to frame it, considering that, like, in a way, like, records are a collective memory, and that's kind of like what archiving tries to do.
To achieve.
Yeah,
brilliant.
To basically like build a collective memory as a society.
So talk to us, because you've curated, particularly around June 12, before we start looking at the pages. What was the tone? Because the president in the speech today actually commended journalists, the fourth estate of the realm, mentioned the newspaper outfits and talked about journalists that were detained and the rest. So he was on that side. Also a media owner of sorts. But generally, how was it reported? How was June 12 reported, both during and after?
So there was a lot of optimism. It felt like there was a singularity of purpose, like in just the landscape, right? The zeitgeist was not like, this one is from the south, this is from the north, this is from, like, it really like embodied like a moment of genuine Nigerian hope and optimism. There's this, and you see it in all the newspapers, across every single paper. There was also, like, before the elections, there was a kind of like cautious optimism. So there was always like, will it happen? 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 Is it going to be 1992? Is it going to be 1993? And then it finally happened, right? Now, when you read stories from the time, you find out that, like, there are many reasons why Nigerians consider it to be very, very free and fair. Right. First of all, it was even the voting system was very different. You lined up behind your candidate. Secondly, there were a lot of soldiers. So, like, you tried nonsense, you just get screwed, right? And so there was this sense of, like, yes, this thing is happening. This thing is for all of us, right? And then over the next few weeks, that hope started to, like, that optimism and energy started to change to concern. What's happening? What's happening?
So were all of this captured in the papers?
Yes. So when you think of some of the big, like, the major coverage, then you think of, obviously, Concord, which was also Abiola's newspaper, very important to keep in mind. So naturally they held a very, very pro-Abiola position. But it was also a popular position. So there was Newswatch. Newswatch was there. Right, there was still, like, there were all these, there was The Statesman, right, which I think is now defunct. But there was a lot of, like, there was not a lot of trust, and there was very serious skepticism with the government. And then we just saw how, like, IBB annulled the elections. Even he, like, when you read, like, even interviews from the 2000s, because one of the interesting things about, like, June 12 is not even just the coverage of June 12 at the time, is a retrospective that people now did over, like, the next, like, 2 decades, right? So one of the interesting things that happens almost every June 12 every year is that one paper somewhere is going to interview someone very important, right? And they're going to reflect on June 12. So, for example, it's IBB, like, acknowledging that, you know what, well, like, it wasn't really great. And, like, so there's enough there's enough literature to go around on June 12 that if you just spent some time just doing like a deep dive on how June 12 and how it has evolved in the perception of Nigerians, right, over the decades, from people's like just wanting like June 12, the election is coming, then June 12 itself becoming a symbol, and then becoming a mandate even after Abiola died, which is like the real democracy day should be June 12. And so like I was speaking to a very young writer, which is funny because I'm also like Gen Z, right? She just turned 21 last week, and she didn't understand why Nigerians were so fascinated by June 12. And we just looked through the archives. I was like, oh, I get it now. Oh, I get it now. Yeah, so it was a very, very intense time.
So I know you're Gen Z. Well, I was old enough to see what was going on. I clearly know those pictures. I knew what was going on.
Yeah.
I can remember vividly. From the excitement to the tension, like we're literally going to explode as a country at that particular point when that election was annulled. But looking strictly at the papers, what were the things you considered were the dream of that moment? And what are you seeing today? Looking strictly at papers.
So Nigeria hasn't changed much. And so like history is cyclical, right? It's like it always like moves in a cycle. The hope is that it moves in like an upward spiral, like it's cycling upwards to progress. But like when you look at like 1993, and as you mentioned earlier in one of the segments earlier, it's the same issues, right? When you zoom back 10 years, right, to Shagari's government, 1983, that was overthrown by the coup that brought in Buhari, same issues, right? Same power, same everything. So, like, while the great like paradox is that while June 12 was about hope, right? It's also about like serious, frustrating repetition.
I think we're all curious to go to the papers.
Yeah.
Okay, which one is that?
So let's go back to the previous one, the June 12 protests in Lagos. Now, it's interesting because this is like 4 years after 1993. And as you said, okay, now this is...
what date was this?
This was, I think, 96. Right, that's Adisa was a federal ministry, the Minister for Works and Housing at that time, and there was some retrenchment of workers. But look at what is under there. 10 Nigerian journalists die. And do you want to walk us through this front page?
So like just zooming out to like journalists, right? One of the strongest indicators of a democratic society, of course, is just freedom of the press, right? In like the 90s, the 80s, like mid 80s to late 90s, is probably like the ugliest period, the worst period to have been a Nigerian journalist, right? So PM News, for example, like it was a literal local paper. They were always getting trouble from the military. Their offices were getting shut down every now and then. There was Daily Giwa, which was in the 80s, right? And it was literally just a real like state of fear, right? You had some journalists in situations where like they show up, like they are arrested for their journalism. They end up in prison. There's that famous interview, I think it was Tel, or I can't remember now, Tel on Newswatch, where they were thrown in prison. It does the opportunity to interview Fela since we're here anyway. So it's really like one of the strongest indicators of a society that is important, and a society that we need to continue to nurture. Is just like building a fourth estate that constantly holds power accountable. There's this honestly illusion that we can do without like established like media like and journalists, like just organizations focused on producing journalism, because everyone can raise a phone, right? But the thing about like citizen journalism, largely, for example, and why it's important to differentiate it, is that citizen journalism a lot of the time will do the very, very shallow stuff of seeing stuff, reporting it, bringing it to public consciousness, but it needs to be a group of people's job to go deeper.
But speaking of differentiation, what is significantly different between how journalists were treated back then and now? You know, you talked about that time being very difficult to being a journalist.
Yeah.
But what's significantly different even now?
To be very, very honest, like we still have like serious issues. Like we have a few weeks ago, journalists was picked up, but even more largely, like when you think of how like the ability to hold power accountable to some degree is in many ways decentralized, right? You even think of like the Erisco issue, right? Because in a sense, like 25 years ago, that would have been the job of a journalist to say, do not use this tomato paste because it is too sweet, right? But like in this sense, like journalism is less about, I mean, journalism is important, but from first principles, when you really think about it, it is about speech and accountability, right? And like documenting society. And every time people are doing that accurately, especially, any form of like speaking up to that or like trying to suppress that, even if it looks like the law, is dangerous.
I mean, we understand that case is also being investigated.
Yep.
And just to say, that episode or that particular paper we saw was 1995.
Yeah.
Actually, PM News, incidentally, founded by people in government now. It's quite interesting how we have come full circle. But Fuad, we have to thank you. We need maybe a full day. To go through the treasure trove that you have. We've not even scratched the surface. And look at this, showing as radio goes.
It's very interesting because like
Fuad, we have to run now, literally, but we'd like to thank you so much. All of these things you can find on archiving.
Yes.
That's archive.ng.
Yes.
Important to spell that out properly.
I'm proud of you.
We're getting the hang of it. Fuad, we have to thank you so much for at least giving us a sense of where we're coming from. I think it will help shape where we're going to. Fuad Lawal, of course, is doing amazing work with archiving. Thank you so much for your time, Fuad.
Thank you for having me.
Little time, but we have a lot to take. Let's join our correspondent live at the nation's capital, Abuja. Larry Lasisi is live for us at the heart of the venue where a lot of things will be happening today. So Larry, just talk us away. What is going on there? What should we expect?
Well, Kayode, I can tell you that all is in readiness for the parade. And the people filing in. As far as the program is concerned, the event has already started. If I take you to my left, you'll see all the military men standing proudly in readiness for the parade. And I'd like to draw your attention to the big, what will I call it there? Well, you can see it with the green, white, green. Written on it, world largest painting portrait on canvas. This is a major highlight of this event. But I can tell you that everything is getting ready. We're going to move quickly and quietly towards 10 o'clock when this event should kick off with the arrival of the president. Before then, in protocol order, we will be having arrival of other dignitaries, other government officials as they lead up to that time. But I can tell you here, everything is ready to mark this day, the Democracy Day in Nigeria.
Well, Larry, busy day apparently for you and a lot of Nigerians. So we'll be coming to you from time to time. I'd like to thank you so much. It's interesting to see that largest painting on canvas. So thank you, Larry, for the updates. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
There you have it. We're just scratching the surface. It's a big day for us here in Nigeria. So stay with us right here on Channels Television. Sunrise Daily is next. We're handing over the baton to them, literally. So you will not miss anything. I'm Kayode Okikiolu.
Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Bukola Koka.
Happy Democracy Day. Thank you for watching. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.